What if you had a charm that didn't depend on your looks? What if everything you believe about attraction is wrong? What if the reason you feel invisible around women, the reason you overthink every word you say, the reason you don't trust your own reflection, isn't because you're not good-looking enough, not tall enough, not the guy you think she wants? What if you've been chasing the wrong source of charm your entire life? Because there is a version of you who can walk into a room and immediately shift the energy, a version who doesn't need perfect features, a perfect haircut, or a perfect body, a version who doesn't impress through appearance, but through presence. And if you think that sounds impossible, hold on, because what I'm about to tell you will either wake you up or change you forever. There is a kind of charm that has nothing to do with being handsome or popular. It's a charm that women feel before they even know your name. And the strange part, most young men never unlock it, not because they can't, but because no one ever told them where it truly comes from. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what this charm is, how guys unintentionally destroy it every day, and how you can activate it right now, Ivan, if you think you have nothing going for you. But before we begin, hit the like button so this message reaches more guys who need it. Let's start with a hard truth. Most young men grow up believing attraction is won through the eyes. You think everything begins and ends with how you look, your skin, your hair, your jawline, your clothes. And because of that belief, you wake up every morning already losing, already feeling behind, already convinced that you're competing in a game where you don't have the tools. But here's the psychology no one taught you. Human attraction, real attraction, doesn't begin with the eyes. It begins with the nervous system. A woman doesn't fall for the shape of your face. She falls for how her body feels when she's around you, safe, energized, curious, drawn in. Some of the most magnetic men in the world aren't conventionally attractive, but they have a presence that hits harder than looks ever could. Presence is the real charm you've been missing. Presence is the ability to stay rooted in yourself while the world pulls at you. It's the ability to talk to a girl without bending your personality to fit what you think she wants. It's the ability to feel nervous and still move forward anyway. It's the ability to be in your body, not trapped in your thoughts. And here's the part that should give you goosebumps. Presence is a skill, not a gift. Let me repeat that. Presence is a skill. It can be built, trained, mastered. And when you master it, everything about you becomes more attractive, Evan. The things you thought were flaws. But to understand presence, you need to understand what destroys it. Let's talk about the invisible enemy, mental noise. Most young men live in constant noise. You're overthinking every second. What do I say? What if she thinks I'm weird? What if I'm not enough? What if she rejects me? What if I embarrass myself? What if I never date anyone? Noise, noise, noise. You don't talk to women, you talk to your fear. And while you're stuck arguing with your own head, you're disconnecting from the world in front of you. Your face stiffens, your voice tightens, your shoulders lock. You lose spontaneity, confidence, warmth, humor. You become a glitching version of yourself. Women don't pull away because you're unattractive. They pull away because you're disconnected. Here's the psychological trigger to understand. Humans are wired to mirror the emotional state of the person they're interacting with. If you're calm, others feel calm. If you're stable, others feel stable. If you're grounded, others feel safe. But if you're anxious, they feel anxious. If you're insecure, they feel tension. If you're disconnected, they feel distance. You've been judging yourself for the wrong reasons. It's not that you don't look good. It's that you don't feel good inside your own body. And that's the exact place where charm begins. So, let's rebuild your charm from the inside out. Let me show you the first switch you need to flip. Switch 1. Stop trying to impress her. Trying to impress someone is the fastest way to become forgettable. Why? Because when you try to impress, you abandon your own center. You shapeshift into whatever you think she wants. Girls feel that instantly. They don't trust it. They don't respect it. They don't get pulled in by it. Charm isn't performance. Charm is alignment. It's when you're not trying to be anything other than yourself. You're not exaggerating. You're not faking confidence. You're not calculating moves. You're simply standing in who you are, fully. Switch 2. Stop filling silence. Silence isn't awkward. Silence is tension. And tension is attractive. When you're comfortable in pauses, you communicate something powerful. I'm not desperate for validation. Most young men rush to fill every quiet second because they're terrified of losing the moment. But charm lives in space. The space between your words, the space between your movements, the space that gives your presence weight. Switch 3. Slow down your reactions. Overreaction is insecurity. Grounded reaction is charm. If she laughs, you smile instead of exploding with excitement. If she tests you, you stay light instead of defensive. If she pulls back, you observe instead of chasing. Slower reactions create a psychological effect called emotional leadership. You signal that you're the emotional thermostat, not the emotional mirror. Women crave that. Switch 4. Talk from your chest, not your head. When you speak from the head, your voice is thin, shaky, rushed. When you speak from the chest, your voice becomes fuller, calmer, warmer. Women don't need a perfect voice, they need a grounded one. Switch 5. Stop predicting rejection. Your brain is trained to avoid pain. But every time you fear rejection, you rehearse failure. You live the pain before it even happens. You experience the defeat without ever taking the risk. Charm isn't about avoiding rejection. Charm is about not letting rejection define your identity. Every confident man you admire has been rejected more times than you've spoken to women. Rejection didn't kill their charm, it built it. Now, let me tell you a hidden truth almost no one says out loud. Women don't fall for the guy who looks perfect. They fall for the guy who feels real. They fall for the guy whose energy calms their nervous system. The guy who listens without rushing. The guy who stands without shrinking. The guy who speaks with intention. The guy who doesn't try to escape his own presence. The guy who isn't at war with himself. You've been told to chase looks, chase status, chase perfection, but charm isn't something you chase. Charm is something you radiate, and the source of that radiation is self-respect. Let's talk about self-respect in a way no one explained to you. Self-respect is not ego. Self-respect is not arrogance. Self-respect is the belief that you are worth showing up fully as yourself. It's the belief that you deserve to take up space, that your voice deserves to be heard, that your presence has weight. When a man lacks self-respect, he shrinks. He collapses inward. He becomes apologetic for existing. He waits for permission to be himself. When a man has self-respect, he expands. He breathes deeper. He moves slower. He stands taller. He takes responsibility for how he shows up. He doesn't chase approval. He carries approval within himself. And here's the twist. Women feel self-respect more than they hear it. They don't listen to your words. They listen to your energy. You don't earn charm by convincing her you're special. You earn charm by embodying a life where you don't need her to validate your worth. And that's the shift that changes everything. Because once you stop basing your identity on her reaction, you start behaving like a man she actually wants to react to. Now, let me give you the core truth that ties everything together. Charm is self-trust. That's it. Charm is the ability to trust yourself in real time. To trust your words, to trust your instincts, to trust your presence. To trust that you belong in the room. When you trust yourself, everything about you becomes more attractive. Your posture changes, your voice changes, your eyes change, your humor becomes natural, your conversation becomes smoother, your aura becomes warmer, your energy becomes irresistible. Self-trust is the root, charm is the fruit. If you want to change how women see you, you must first change how you see yourself. You must treat yourself the way you wish they would treat you. You must stop apologizing for existing. You must stop running from your thoughts. You must stop convincing yourself that you're broken. You are not broken. You are buried. Buried under fear, noise, insecurity, comparison, pressure, expectation, shame. But underneath all of that is a man capable of incredible charm. A man who doesn't need to be perfect. A man who doesn't need to be handsome. A man who doesn't need external approval to feel valuable. A man who radiates presence because he finally trusts himself enough to exist fully. And that man can be you. If this message hit you somewhere deep, if it made you see yourself differently, then you already know what you need to do next. Subscribe to the channel so you don't lose the next step in your transformation, because this is just the beginning.